I've got 16 weeks of dedicated training for the Melbourne Marathon. The best place to start is to take you through a typical training week. We begin in about the third week of training, and it's winter. Mornings are cold, often raining at the moment. And my typical week begins on a day shift. And the shifts are 12.5 hours long, and they start early. 6 a.m. Depending on what I have after work, I'll try and get in a full 1 hour run after work, but some days I just have to squeeze in whatever I can before the shift starts, which means very early. This time, I'm lucky enough that I get my run in after work itself. Then after work, trip home, get a bit of food in, and then we're moving on. Take my son to his basketball training, and while he's in the training session, I'll get in an easy 10k run. One thing about running in winter with these long day shifts is I start in the dark and the day finishes in the dark. Now day 2 begins with a walk for the dog. Now some days I get to walk the dog, other days it's my wife. It's off to work and it's another early start and I'm tired. The late night of basketball training, getting back up early, it's just not enough sleep. It's not about motivation, discipline. It's doing what we have to each day. Now, weather was absolutely terrible, and I'm lucky enough we have a gym at my work. It's often a little bit easier to fit in that easy run on the treadmill. And I'm also finding that the treadmill seems to help a bit with recovery. So I can get the same conditioning work done, and it's just that little bit easier on my legs. Over the next couple of days with the later starts, I get to catch up on at least a little bit of that sleep. Then I'm into an afternoon shift, which is much better. Get to walk the dog with the sunrise, and then it's off to the track. My sessions are aiming to hit or work just below the anaerobic threshold. That way I'm getting in more work without the extended recovery cost, or at least that's the aim. Today was 22 times 400 metres. The trick is to keep the pace under control. Intensity control is the name of the game here. I find the track session helps me gauge where I'm at with threshold, and I can get the pace and feeling right in the other runs. Bit pressed for time on this one, but that's okay. Still got the main session in, which was 22 times 400 metres with 30 seconds rest in between. The aim of this run was to run the 400s at a little bit faster than what would be my threshold pace, which is kind of around 4:38 per kilometre. So I wanted to get the pacing out close to 4:30 per k, which translates to about 1:47 per 400 metres, so I was going to be happy sitting in the range of 4:49, 4:48, which I achieved. One slow one, 1:52, right at the start, and I think the second was 1:50, and just before the end, I think the third last, I hit a 1:45, and I felt pretty comfortable the whole way. Feel pleasantly tired. I don't feel wrecked. Anyway, it's off into work, shower, change, course, after the threshold session, next day is an easy run. This one, I took it out on the hills, so it meant some slower pacing, keeping everything comfortable. For my easy runs, I'm doing what I'm calling zone 1. If we look at percentage of heart rate max, that keeps the pace below 75% of heart rate max. Typically, most of my runs are done at about 70% of heart rate max. And for me, that's about 120 beats per minute. Following day, 8 times 1 kilometre threshold. So this one aimed to hit at what was about my threshold pace. 1 minute, stand, walk, recovery in between. I'm only a few sessions into the threshold work, and I have to say, I'm definitely feeling and seeing improvements already. Maybe not so much in the times for the same heart rates, but everything feels so much more comfortable. I think just slightly a bit faster. At the very least, the final reps are feeling nearly as good as the first few reps. And on a couple of runs, the last few reps are actually feeling better than I did right at the start. So it's definitely having an effect. Even like today's run, 8 times 1 kilometre with 1 minute rest in between. I'm coming off a night shift, and historically I always feel like rubbish on these runs. But today I started off feeling tired, but the body just seemed to click in exactly how I was hoping it would. The day after a workout, again, it's another easy run. Zone 1, keeping it nice and easy. This one I squeezed in while my daughter was umpiring footy. And then it's on to my own commitments, volunteering at footy. Getting up this morning, my legs were feeling like really stiff, and I was seriously questioning whether or not I should do the threshold intervals today. But it's during the walk with Cece that they've started feeling a whole lot better, and pretty much I've walked out the stiffness and soreness that was there. So now I'm thinking the session is absolutely fine. Maybe I just haven't been appreciating how much of a difference these walks make to my recovery and actually help my running. Day after the easy run, 3 times 3 kilometres at or below anaerobic threshold. This one I deliberately aim for the pace to sit below. It's the first time I've extended these intervals out to 3 kilometres. Right, that's 2 down. A little bit faster than 5 minutes per K, and the rest of 3K long. Legs are feeling stiff, and today feels more like a grind than the other threshold sessions. Then normal people have a 7-day week, but I have an 8 or 9 day week. This time it's 9 days. So the day after the 3x3 intervals, easy today, but the legs are absolute toast. I really feel like I've been ground down, and I think it's more because of my sleep hasn't been that great over the last week, and the recovery with upping the load. It's a combination that hasn't quite worked all that great. So today I've kept easy really down in the bottom half of the zone 1. So you call this run a recovery run. Day number 9, and you could call that a bonus day, and it's a long run. I'm still building out the distance of the long run at the moment. I'm out to 2 hours 30, so I'm still keeping the pace at around zone 1, so very similar to my easy runs, with the acceptance that maybe in the last 15 minutes that intensity will creep up into zone 2. At no point am I forcing the pace on these runs. I want them to be comfortable. It's about doing them so I can be out on my feet for the right time frame, and so that the recovery cost isn't severe. And it turns out taking yesterday's easy run extra easy has paid off. Today's long run, 2.5 hours. Well, I felt pretty good the whole way. And that's the training week. 9 days. I'll put some averages and the stats up here, and I'm still in the early days of these 16 weeks, so I'm still building up the distance for this period. Keep on running.